or coffee or a smoothie because it's gone quite chilly again, and is tuning in for our Ask Me Anything about accreditation. I'm Aurora Dawn Campbell, your host for this monthly session, first Wednesday of every month. And today in the hot seat, I have Monica Braglovich. I hope I said that correctly.
Yes.
She is an accredited practitioner coach based in the UK, and she specializes in supporting people with as smoother possible, if you can say this, around a breakup and maybe even consequently a divorce. So very stressful work that you do, Monica. Very
It
emotional,
is,
I
but
would
it's
imagine.
very rewarding.
Good. Good.
Yeah,
Okay. Well, we're both wrapped up. So there's been a change
yeah.
in the weather, hasn't there? Last week was a bit of a heat wave for the Europe, and this week it's gone a little bit down again. So anyway, just to set the scene, for anybody who's stumbled across this recording on TikTok, LinkedIn, Facebook, YouTube, whatever, we have these monthly sessions to answer your questions in real time. So maybe you're a coach and thinking, what is accreditation? You know, it's an unregulated market. Do I even need it? How do I get it? How is it going to benefit me? You might be a client, a prospective coachee, thinking, I want to work with the best possible coach who is properly trained, who is insured, who is certified, who's accredited, and so on. That's what our TQA stands for. I am trained, qualified, and accredited. Or maybe you're a training provider and you're training the next generation of great coaches, and you want to make sure that they know about accreditation. So there's all sorts of different people who may be interested and will pose some questions throughout our conversation, Monica. And my VA, Rowena, will be online fielding questions as and when they come up. So those are the sorts of questions that we normally get. But let's start with you, Monica. What fills your heart with joy outside of work? How do you look after yourself and keep yourself happy? Because you're a very sunny
Um,
disposition.
walking. I love walking. I love being, yeah, like see mountains. I do like walking. I don't like keeping still. I get agitated when I'm still.
Ah, okay. Well, I concur with you. I'm a walker especially when I've got a dog, and I love the sea and the mountains. But I do like being still as well. So
Okay.
either I'm sat at the top of the hill looking over the sea with my binoculars, or I'm reading. So I'm mad
Okay.
about that and listening to podcasts. But of course, we can do that on the go now, can't we?
Mm,
So where do you
yeah.
go for sea and mountains then?
So mountains we normally go like skiing. We got to go to France as well. So Lake and the Sea, we went there. I love the during the summer even we did some walking there. Sea everywhere really, hot, cold. We love Wales. Well, I love Wales. I'm saying we family doesn't come so much now. The kids are grown up.
Yeah.
But even just the local seaside. Um, but sitting down for too long, I can't do.
Oh, well, we differ there. You've obviously got
Yeah,
ants in your pants, whereas I could sit for 8 hours and read a book and not move.
oh, really,
Um,
no.
yeah, I don't sunbathe, but I will sit still with a good book. So I'd love to hear a little bit more about your journey. I mean, obviously we've met at the IAPCNM several times, and we've just come down from the ICW annual event where we were all very busy.
Mm.
But I've never spent very much one-to-one time with you. So, and I'm sure people interesting would love to know more about you because I'm always saying, when people are thinking about hiring their coach, they've got to do their due diligence. And one of those elements is to talk to the coach that they're thinking about working with, or the mentor, or even the training provider, because that's the only way that you get an understanding of their energy, their mythology, their philosophy, their sense of humor that they're going to bring to the sessions, um, rather than just the pure coaching. So, what brought you to coaching? Would you just give us some backstory, please, Monica, if you would?
Yeah, so my career started in social services. So I used to work with family support settings, a lot of vulnerable families, but going through quite a difficult time. So I had a lot of dealings with like family courts, working in kind of community, but as well like residential settings. And I then decided to change career and went into operation management, completely retrained. But I didn't really enjoy it, not the people and the work I was doing. It was more of a, kind of the work that I wanted to do was working with people in a kind of, not operational way, but more, kind of personal level. And so I did training with Pure Academy, a coaching academy, which how I got to know 𝐼𝐴-𝐶𝐁. And that's kind of how my coaching journey started. So I trained as a coach, kind of as a life coach originally. Then I kind of transitioned into breakup and divorce, because relationships and kind of that toxic dynamics between people, co-parenting because of my background, kind of, I kept receiving referrals on, clients from that type of area, so like relationships. And then I retrained. I did additional training with Academy for Divorce and Breakup, and I'm now accredited with them as well. So I currently study for master practitioner for domestic abuse and kind of coercive behavior and toxic behavior. So yeah.
Do you mean accredited or certified?
So accredited, because there's an certification and accreditation, but I still kept the 𝐼𝐴-𝐶𝐁 accreditation, because I find a bigger value, more kind of, because even though you do relationship coaching, you always kind of do other aspects of life as well. And I find like 𝐼𝐴-𝐶𝐁 kind of was doing it. It had the whole community, variety of coaches, variety of support and ideas, where obviously if you're in specific niche, you're kind of in that niche, you're learning only about that, rather than having a broader kind of exposure to the coaching kind of, community. So I'm kind of accredited in both places. One, only because I'm also still training for the master practitioner. So obviously I'm keeping that accreditation at the moment. So I'm accredited practitioner for divorce and coaching, but I'm still master practitioner certified. I'm not yet accredited.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Well, thank you for sharing that. I suppose with you saying community, you've reminded me actually that a lot of people that I come across in conversations on LinkedIn, I say, over and above your accreditation certificate, what are you looking for? And 9 times out of 10, people will say a sense of community. And that's why we've created the membership level, because regardless of the industry they're in, as you've just pointed out, you can be in a very defined niche, but sometimes you want more. So you have to go to a different community. So our new membership level is for all entrepreneurs, solopreneurs, aspiring business people, regardless of the industry they're in, just because they want to network and have that sense of community, of be like-minded business people, but they're not accredited. So that's our 2 levels. You either go down the accreditation route, in which case membership is automatically an integral part of that, or you can just become a member because you're not a coach or a mentor or a training provider, but you want that sense of support, that community, that professional code of conduct that you will sign up to, and the ongoing CPD and business support. So yeah, I get what you're saying, Monica. So so what brought you to the 𝐼𝐴-𝐶𝐁? You said it was pure coaching.
So it was at the Pure Academy, and I took kind of my time before I accredited, because obviously there's so many, accreditation bodies out there. And also I started to kind of work towards the relationship kind of divorce and breakup, which is how I started to then train with Sarah Davidson. What I found is that, like I said earlier, I wanted to learn, yes, the niche that I'm doing, obviously, and being qualified and keep learning. But I wanted to broaden like my experience about other coaches, how they run businesses, but actually how they manage like the difficult journey that being a coach, not just having your own business, but, make sure that you have the right support, the ideas as well. So everyone brings different ideas. find like if you're in the same community, everyone kind of seems to have the same ideas. So yeah, that's why kind of I joined in the end and I got accredited, and it's been 2 years now and I'm enjoying, and now I'm even volunteering.
I can't believe it's been that long.
Yeah, yeah,
2 years already.
yeah.
Wow. And when you're helping the members, because as you say, you're the host of the Ask Me Anything About member orientation, which came about as a conversation that you and I had, that, there's
Yeah.
thousands of pounds worth of benefits in the secure members area. Well, how do I find them? How do
Mm.
I navigate them? How do I use them at the most appropriate time? You said, well, that would be good for me to put that hat on and learn as I go. What are some of the typical questions that members come to your Ask Me Anything About orientation that you're finding?
So they kind of, I call it basic, but they're not basic. The necessary things like contracts, and
So they want
you know,
templates.
yeah, templates for like contracts, data protection, also for the third party, like insurance, or kind of do we have any connections with people to help with digital marketing, but also where is everything kind of, because we receive so many weekly updates, monthly, links to things, but actually where do I find everything? Because we tend to, when you're busy, I did that, which is why I kind of reached out to you, because, you tend to kind of highlight the emails you need to look at and then click on, the information you want to read, or maybe, kind of, replays, or, the webinars you've missed, but then they just keep piling up and you never kind of get a chance to do it. So,
Yeah.
yeah, so it's kind of, where do you go? How do you find this? So even just showing our membership dashboard, that is actually quite simple to navigate once you log in. It's very easy, like it's really simply kind of laid out, and it tells you what actually it does. So you can kind of pick and choose what you want to do and where you need to go. So even when I was doing the session on Monday for the coaching week, someone mentioned, like, was looking for a contract, and they were like, wow, I didn't know where to find it. So yeah, so it's just kind of having, because when you feel a bit overwhelmed, you tend to, I do it later, I log in later, have a look later. But actually when you log in and look at it, it's quite simple. It's kind
Yeah.
of simplifies the dashboard.
Mm. And we need to
Um,
get that message across, don't we? Because
mm,
there's a statistic out there that says, we're downloading free stuff all the time, free masterclasses, free ebooks, but 99% of them we never revisit. We put them in a
mm,
save file, read, watch, and as you said,
mm,
we never go back to it because there's always so much stuff, and we're oversensitized, overstimulated to everything. What do you
mm.
think the answer is to the problem, other than just thinking this is my CPD, I'm going to stop for 5 minutes every day and do it now? People don't do that. What do you think the solution
I
could be?
think we talk so much as coaches about me time, talking to clients about making sure that you actually book me time, like a self-care
Yeah.
time in your calendar. Book your, I don't know, gym session, walk, coffee, meeting with a friend. I think it's important for us as coaches to book CPDs in our calendars, right? Because we think it's like, it's a not waste of time, but we're like, oh, we do it later. But actually we goes by week, and then so having that, I don't know, being trained, you train yourself to kind of do this. It's a difficult one. You don't have to start from spending 3 hours a week, but even if you do an hour a week and treat it like seriously as your meeting and a time for yourself, for your professional development, for having a
Yeah.
cup of coffee and watching something and learning, and just switching off from the kind of day-to-day work that you do. You might find actually answers for some of the questions that you might be holding in your head,
Yes.
in one of them webinars, or I don't know, audiobooks, or whatever you kind of want to read or listen to. Um, so yeah,
That's
I'm
definitely
saying
the
that it's
message we've
not
got to get
easy.
out. Yeah, I am guilty. I hold my hand up. I am guilty. I have a massive to-do file, read, watch, refer back to. So I know how easy it is to get overwhelmed with
Mm,
so much good stuff on offer, but I think you've hit the nail on the head, Monica. If we can put it in the diary as an appointment, so maybe Friday morning, 9 till 10, every
mm,
Friday, it's an hour for our investment, where we will read the newsletter, watch the masterclass, do our CPD log, job done. But if you,
mm.
it's a bit like my meditation. I kind of liken it to that. If you miss a day, you then are more inclined to miss a week. And if you miss a week, you're going to miss a month. And before you know it, you can't remember the last time you meditated. It's a bit like that.
Mm. Yeah, yeah.
Mm.
And like I said, we're very good at supporting people kind of through that transitions and journeys. And
Yeah.
sometimes I stop myself in a week and I say, what would I advise my client? What tool would I use? What tool would I give my client? Especially when you feel stuck. Sometimes we
Yeah.
think, CPD, like watching something or listening to something, it's actually quite, you don't have to actually stare at the screen. You can listen to something, like you said, go for a walk or maybe find some space. Because it's not, CPDs are not just about learning as a textbook. It's also about, looking after yourself as professional, having time for yourself to reflect. You can also burn out as a coach, right? And when you do, you then start to your work with your clients. That's gonna, have an effect on it because your patients, you're gonna feel more agitated. So really, it's looking after yourself. You're looking after both people, yourself and your client. So if you start thinking like this, might be easier to book an hour in your calendar because then you
Yeah.
don't feel so guilty.
Yeah. Yeah. I think you're right. I think you've hit the nail on the head, Monica. And also, you said something that I'm always saying to coaches is, how would you coach yourself through that? Um, and that's one of the issues, that sense of overwhelm, too much to do, particularly when you're newbies and you're starting out with your business. You've got 13 plus different roles to do. It's the networking, it's the bookkeeping, it's the marketing, it's the creating the memes, it's commenting, it's blogging, it's social networking, it's, writing your book or your website, whatever. And so it just gets pushed to the bottom of the pile. But if you coach yourself through the issues, and think about what is the one thing this week that is going to move the needle in the right direction, take me closer to my goal, have the biggest impact, is not necessarily the thing that we like the most, but it's the thing that needs doing. And then when you've done that, you can do the things that, are quite important. And then you can do the things that you really like doing, which is might be, networking on social media or whatever.
Mm.
But you've got to do that one thing. And I would suggest when people are starting out, it is the book an hour with yourself to do your skills development, build your business acumen, and keep
Yeah.
on top of your CPD.
Yeah, yeah, because also like you learn from, listening to other people. It doesn't need to be right about your business, but could be about LinkedIn, for example. You might learn something that actually give you a little tip that you can then spend less time on LinkedIn and have better results. So, it's we've got so many coaches and so many webinars, like, Nikki's amazing with her business, like, advice. It's just like I said, finding time to book
Yeah.
that time and actually say no, the word's still going to be there in an hour. Nothing's going to happen.
Mhm. Well, we've all got the same amount of time every week, and I do remember somebody saying that when President Obama was running America, uh, he had time to go for a run every morning for an hour. That was his priority,
Mm,
and it was a non-negotiable. And that's what we can make it if that's a priority for us. So whether it's getting up an hour earlier, whether it's watching an hour's less TV, if the CPD is important enough, and let's
mm,
face it, we only need to account for about 30 hours a year to maintain our professional status. It's about habits, isn't it? One
mm,
habit at a time. Whereas most people try and eat the whole elephant in one go and think, oh, ICW 23 masterclasses, I'll put that to one side. But no, just pick one that
mm.
speaks to you and then build that sort of muscle, as it were. And next week it becomes a little bit easier, and the week after it becomes a little bit easier. bit like cleaning our teeth. We don't resist cleaning our teeth, do
No.
we? I mean, I know it doesn't take an hour, but there are things that you do on autopilot you wouldn't dream of not doing. It could be the same for CPD if that was a big enough priority for us. We could start with 5 minutes.
I think it's looking at the value rather than the waste of time kind of attitude, I think, or
Yes,
not
the
waste
return
of
on
time, like
investment.
not enough time. Because I think if you look at this as a value, like you said, if you go for a run for 1 hour, I mean, I'm not, but like, you mentioned Obama, it's what the value that gives you. It's not the hour you're missing in a day, it's the value that adds to your day. So then your day, let's say 10 hours rather than 11 hours, becomes more productive. You're more, you're sharper, you do more. So actually that hour gives you maybe an extra 2 hours in a day or week, because you're feeling, obviously you're feeling fresh, you're feeling motivated, you've done something for yourself, you've got, the adrenaline going, you're looking after yourself. So maybe if we change how we talk or how we reframe the CPDs to look at the value that we get afterwards rather than, oh, I've
Yeah.
got to find an hour in my calendar.
Yeah. You're a
Um,
wise woman, Monica. I think that's a very good way of doing it. Rephrase it. What
yeah.
you learn in that hour, you can start to use
Mm,
and grow your business, develop your skills, go deeper with your clients, and so on. So it's not, I've got to find an hour. It's what is
mm,
the return on investment that I'm going to get from doing that?
yeah. Yeah.
Mm.
Wish I'd do that myself next week.
So, what are you reading or watching at the moment for your own CPD, I wonder, Monica?
So like I said, I'm studying towards my master practitioner, but I have been
Mm.
watching some of the videos from the coaching. I do listen a lot of podcasts, so I do because I'm on a go, kind of. I like to be on a go. I do, which also a little tip maybe for people. Sometimes I can be doing washing up or cooking and having that in the background rather than listening to radio or, so there's,
Yeah.
you're always listening to something without even realizing that you're spending time on it. Um, so yeah, so I work a lot with I'm saying a lot. I've come across a women. I'm gonna try to do some volunteering with women who are in a relationship of men, predominantly that alcoholics. So I've bought myself a couple of books recently about naked mind and how the mind works in terms of drinking alcohol and things like this. So I'm always kind of expanding and thinking about how I can improve, not just because my life as well, but also how can I understand my client in an interesting way. So it's not sitting down and forcing myself to, to kind of feel like I'm constantly studying. Um, so yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, you're right. It's kind of like trying to learn a language
Mm,
still after all these years, still learning French. And I kind of think if I just have the French radio on when I'm
mm.
going to sleep, I'll get it by reverse osmosis. It's just there in the background, subconsciously sinking in. I'm not doing a very good job of it, but we keep trying.
Oh,
But yeah, I mean, podcasts has completely revolutionized things. You know, we can have our car as a mobile library. When we're walking, we can be listening and learning. So I completely agree with that. So for me at the moment, I'm very much into metaphysics anatomy, Yvette Rose's book.
okay.
So that mind-body connection. And obviously watching the ICW masterclasses that I missed the other week. So that's what's coming up for
So
me.
you do meditation on, I've never done meditation online, so I'm quite hard to meditate anyway, I must admit. So the meditation online, does that have a, like, is it harder to kind of get into it? And do you think
No,
when you do it?
if anything, I think it's easier. I mean, you don't have the logistics, obviously, of having to go to a hall and
Yeah.
get comfortable. You're in your own interval. So at noon on Wednesday, hour tops with Q&A. So today it was about our liver, our eyes, breathe and carry this wonderful vehicle around. Did a complete head to toe, really relaxed. So today I had, and they've got their cushions and their blanket, about a regular 15 that different people come on at different, some people stay, some people have been with me for the whole 3 years since I've been doing this, nearly every
Okay.
week.
Wow.
Some people tune in once or twice and find that maybe it's not quite for them because it's a guided meditation, so they're not going to be sat there in silence on their own.
Right.
But everybody, even if somebody's only come once, they've usually loved it and sent me great feedback. So
Yeah.
definitely try it. It's a really important tool for building self-resilience
Mm.
and keeping yourself in your mind and your body in harmony. Because when one's out of balance, it obviously affects the other. And as coaches, we have to look after ourselves, don't we?
Yeah.
We have to
Yeah.
practice preach what do they say? Practice what you preach and walk the
But
walk and talk the talk. If we don't find time to look after ourselves, if we're too busy, then
yeah.
ultimately our energy will start to suffer and we won't be fully present for our clients and they will sense that. So we have to look after ourselves. So it's
Yeah.
meditation, not medication. And get off the hamster wheel, de-stress, be with a nice group who are all around the world, breathing and meditating together. And yeah, try it.
So this is all also like as part of the membership, right? This is all for
Yes.
members. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. Yeah. I
Which
mean,
is what.
if you said I want my mum to come or my brother-in-law or my child, everybody is welcome. You know, it's just
Okay.
something. It's a bit like ICW. We host it, but it
Right.
is for everybody. It's not something you can be precious about and say no. It's just for
Mm.
IAPCNM members. It's something that's freely available for everybody
That's
with
amazing.
our
Well,
comments.
this is why I'm like, yeah, I always say to people, there's so much like on offer by I am a IMPCNM that that it's actually a crime not to do it in a way. Do you
Yeah,
know what I mean? There's so many
yeah,
things that you is there and is for you to kind of watch or do or and also what I find the community, like we mentioned at the beginning, is you can reach out to anyone. Now I'm connected to some of the coaches as well. So it's amazing to see the work and being able to support each other on LinkedIn. Um, and actually through that, I met someone else on LinkedIn through, because I commented on someone's post and then someone connected with me and then we did a podcast together. So it's amazing how the opportunities as well that you get. It's not a waste of time. It's actually, I always say to everyone, people who network or want to kind of build a business or, it's not about what can I get out of this, yes, but it's always what can I give, because you'd be surprised, like by supporting others and making the right connections, connecting people that might work well together or support each other, or it actually pays off in the end some way or the other. So,
yeah. It does. You
it's,
never know what a connection, a
yeah.
conversation with anybody.
Mm.
You could be sat on a bus in a queue, at the cinema or anything. It's just striking up a conversation, and it's a case of, well, what do you do? And then you share your mission statement. You don't say, I'm a coach. And they go, well, how do you do that? Well, I have tools and techniques, and you talk about the results, and then if you're talking to other coaches, it's all about collaboration, not
Mm.
competitiveness.
Yeah.
And as you say, you can then do a joint podcast together or
Mm.
a mail shot or something, and it's a win-win. So if you've got
Yeah.
a mentality of it's all about joint ventures and collaboration, and you network like an Olympian, and you comment and write like your hair is on fire, that
Mm.
is creating good foundations for a coaching business. So.
Yeah. No,
Rowena,
no.
I can see you're with us. What questions, if any, do you want to share that you've picked up on social media, I wonder, that we could answer about accreditation or even Monica could mention about what makes a happy breakup, by the way? How do you make a breakup? Is it all about media? So you must be a mediator as well as a coach.
No, so I work
No?
individually with people now. It's about there is an amicable divorce, but no breakup and divorce, even amicable. There's always someone that feels things are not fair, or maybe they've missed out on something. Because going through breakup, it's like a loss, isn't it? It's you going through a, loss of the future of what you've got now, or what you've built together. What might happen, the dreams and kind of hopes that you were holding on to. So it's a grieving process essentially. So what would make her happy? I always really, when it comes to anything, I always talk about it comes to your relationship with yourself. Is everything starts and ends with you. So if you can kind of work on that and build your kind of confidence and resilience, take back control, then I'm not, it's not happy, but you can have a happy ending.
Okay. I guess one
Yeah.
partner, I mean, it's got to be a rare thing if both partners are on the same page and they both want this. Usually one is going to be feeling a little bit reluctant.
Mm, yeah.
And that's where the grieving process comes in.
Yeah. But even when you do say, I want it out, sometimes you want it out because whatever, you're not happy, or, I'm not talking about obviously abusive relationships.
No.
Even when women in midlife tend to, kind of not wake up one day. We say I wake up one day, this is just a saying, but, they're feeling like they've changed and their values change and they want different things. And if the other person is not growing with them, that kind of, that's when you kind of wake up one day and say, well, I want something else. So that's also a loss in a way, because you've got to make that decision. You're still losing, 20 years of maybe your marriage, or, your kind of place where you have you had your children, you maybe have some dreams, or you plan for your retirement, you have some plans in terms of moving abroad, or like you have certain lifestyle, or it's all almost like rebuilding yourself from scratch. So everything that you had, or you maybe thought you might have, it is a loss, isn't it?
Yes.
So yes, it's maybe a good, confident move forward, step forward, but still not an easy journey, especially when you're in your like 50s, or a late 40s, or you maybe in changing your careers. There's so much change happen when we as women. I mean, I'm 47 this year, and I'm feeling it like, what's my life? What am I doing? Where am I going? I've had my children, now it's my time, kind of thing. So,
Yeah.
it's a good time. I'm not saying it's not bad time, because we are like, you know, born again, but it's a difficult time. Yeah,
Yeah, and
either
it's
way.
it's also something that we need to uh, educate people that it's actually
Mm,
quite natural to be going
mm,
through this. I
yeah.
remember many years ago reading a Cosmopolitan, I don't even know if the magazine still exists, but a Cosmopolitan article that said women towards the end of their 40s
Mm,
naturally review their life because they're not pumped full of estrogen anymore, which is the caring, nurturing. Uh, and they start to think, well, I just don't really care about all the other stuff that I
mm,
used to care about. I now want to do something completely different. And that's why the divorce rate is quite high in that age sector, and it's usually instigated by the woman. And a
mm.
woman may well end up living with another woman, whether it's platonic or sexual, it's
Yeah,
entirely to
yeah.
them. But
Yeah.
they just feel that part of their life is over and they
Mm,
want something different and they want it to be easier and smoother and kinder and
mm.
all sorts of different things. So
Yeah.
yeah, hopefully you're not going to break up
No,
your happy
no,
home.
no.
That's not one of the differences, but it's understandable
Yeah.
that it's a period of change and reflection. And you don't even have to get divorced or break up.
Mm.
You just might want things to be different in the next chapter together.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think what's happening is that we as women, we don't understand what's happening for us. So what we do, we don't communicate this. We just kind of hold on to it. And then when we're ready to say it, we come out with it in a way that our partners like what's happening, what's going
And it's out of
on.
the blue.
Yeah, because like sometimes, I say sometimes I don't understand myself how I'm feeling. I need to kind of process this and work out what's happening before I can then communicate to not just my partner, but my children, and who are adults now, or my friends. I've got friends that have changed since I've met them. For we're not liking or liking the reasons, women become more selfish, more kind of not in a negative way, like why should they put up with certain things, or friendships break, so it's a like you said, a natural thing. It's just how do we communicate this? And actually there are relationships that can be saved, because if the both parties want to work on things, then why not? I'm not suggesting that relationship has to end, but a lot of women kind of want to completely different direction, and sometimes that doesn't work with the man or the partner they with. So it's I don't know, it's a quite confusing time, because I say, like, the work I do I enjoy, because when I get involved with people, they already kind of on that journey of ending rather than trying to save the relationship. So maybe they've already been through therapy, they've already tried. So it's kind of the way I see it is like I help them to kind of get on that happier side of their life, try to help them to rebuild or build something new. So I do feel it's positive, but obviously there's a lot of pain and a lot of disappointment while you kind of, on that journey.
And you mentioned grief. How do you help people through the grief then, Monica?
So what we say is that, it's a loss cycle, which has got 5 different stages. And what we do is we obviously try to help people kind of understand what stage they might be at, what stage they're at. And obviously the stage is like, anger or bargaining or, sadness, that you can kind of come out from stage to stage. It doesn't just kind of flow and then you go out. So it's like grieving process. It is a loss. So just helping people kind of understand the feelings, name the feelings. So it's not everything anger, it's not everything sadness. It's about trying to kind of put the right feelings in the right kind of places, and then that tend to help person kind of try to, move forward and, make better decisions, so they don't instruct the solicitor with anger or like, jealousy. They actually making the right decision
when they're annoyed.
So, I've had lawyers saying, can you have a session with this client, because they've instructed me and I know it's not them, they're just being angry and this is just crazy. So you kind of help people, because, it's a tough, it's, some people move on very quickly, so you can imagine for the other person it might be really hard. You're co-parenting children. Suddenly you have to, you parent differently, there's a lot of people that might use the children to kind of get to the other person. There's a lot of stuff that some people have to deal with. And divorce ends in court.
Communication skills, doesn't it?
Exactly. Always. Yeah.
And that's what coaching is. I mean, I'm often, when I was head of mentoring at Noble Manhattan, I used to say, even if you don't go on and take the assessment call, your final assessment, and you don't build a business, you've improved your communication skills in every aspect. So by definition, the quality of your life will improve. Monica, any of your clients who you think would benefit from attending the meditation to help them de-stress, invite them.
Okay, thank you.
It's absolutely fine. As I say, it's with our compliments and it's freely available for everybody. So even if it's only for a short period, just to get them through so that they can learn to self-regulate and breathe and deal with their anxiety.
That'd be good.
It could work.
Yeah. No, thank you.
So Rowena sent me a question. I don't know who it was from, but she said, what was the most challenging part of applying for your accreditation?
The actual assessment. Then there's like an exam. It's actually you kind of, you take your time. So you obviously need to do your coaching hours, which you do during your training. You obviously start training your friends and family at first, maybe a colleague from work. So you're slowly obviously learning the skills, and you watch all the videos, and there's a section in membership area pre-registration And it looks like a lot, but actually, if you take your time and just kind of watch it, even if it's just, you know, in the background, so you listen to it, because obviously everyone's got their own style of coaching, but there's certain things that you need to follow. Really, is the worst part is the actual assessment, but that's kind of natural thing. You're being nervous because you're being coached and watched. You know, so it's like that's the kind of nerve-wracking part, I think, for me
Yeah,
was.
I'd agree with you. I mean, we make it as user-friendly and easy as possible by giving you all the preparation, as you say.
Mm,
And
yeah,
Petra does tapping for anybody who's particularly nervous. We'll take you through some tapping so you can control your nerves. But the bottom line is being assessed is
mm,
nerve-wracking. So
mm,
that's why we don't accept role plays or recordings. It's a real life client. We provide the client so that you get in the zone and feel authentic as quickly as possible. Um, so I don't know whether ever in that 30-minute call you forget and you're so in the zone, but sometimes I'm sure people do. Uh,
mm,
and then you get immediate feedback. Now, you said about the different styles, and that's an interesting point because we've been talking about this recently since ICW, and that is that there's no one style or size that
mm,
fits all. So, I mean, I remember when I was starting out, I used to say, how would you like to be coached? I can be gentle or challenging. Do you need a kick up the bottom and, you know, really challenged and have that accountability? Or is it gently, gently that's going to meet your needs? And of course, it depends on what the client scenario is.
yeah,
If somebody wants to improve productivity at work, they want to be challenged, they want that
yeah,
accountability. If they're being bullied at work, they're going to need gentle, gentle, because they can't take any more. So, firstly, getting permission and
mm,
understanding, and it could be different every single session you have, um, as to how they would like to be challenged and to move them forward. But people's styles are different, and that's why it's important you talk to the coach that you're thinking about hiring. Because somebody could be very ballsy and in your face and bang, bang, bang. And then there's somebody else who's very spiritual and quite quiet and quite calm.
yeah,
You know, that's part of your doing your due diligence, which is the right energy that the coach is displaying for
yeah,
you. Um, and you know,
yeah.
in your line of work, I would imagine that's really important.
I think just to reassure whoever's asked this question is what I find quite it's you tell the whoever's your assessor what niche or kind of what coaching you offer, and they would try to come up with a an issue or problem or something they want to talk about that
Yes,
kind of relates a little bit to what you do. So it's not like you're
exactly.
going to be, I don't know, ask about nutrition when you're coaching, I don't know, on, I don't know, just trying to think of business, you know,
Yeah,
so it's
that's a
kind of,
good point. That's a
yeah,
good point. David will
yeah,
say to the
yeah,
team who has got, you know, so if it was Monica, you were going for your assessment. Is there anybody in the team that's going through some emotional relationship type issues and would appreciate some coaching right now? Great. Okay. Would you please assess Monica? Somebody else
mm,
will say, I want to do business mentoring. As you say, we're not going to put somebody who's a nutritional coach in front of a
mm,
business client. So, yeah, that's a good point. Thank you for raising that. Um, and the other point I was making around the inclusivity is we don't care whether you're a Tigro diehard or whether you make something up out of your own name. As long as you take the client from A to B, we don't really care. It's all about the capability to
mm,
deliver the results that you say you're going to deliver. So we're not rigid or prescriptive, and I think that's something else that's
mm.
important to consider.
I think this is where we're back to accreditation because, you know, I've wrote this post on LinkedIn today and, you know, a couple of people message me and it's like, oh, it's not just about accreditation. And I'm like, I agree because you can't be just accredited if you don't have a coaching skills or you haven't been trained. So it's a package, yeah. But what also I'm learning talking to other coaches that, you know, come kind of new to the community is that there are certain things you need to follow, like you do have to have your terms of condition, you need to have a code of conduct, data protection. There are certain rules that you've got to follow apart from your obviously coaching skills. So this is why the accreditation, the CPDs, it kind of keeps you in a line and supports you and makes sure that actually you also protect yourself as well as your clients. You insure, insurance, like therapists and doctors, and they all have insurance, they all like accredited. Obviously they train longer, but it's about not just all about yourself, but also protecting the client. So I feel like the accreditation is just like you imagine like a bull where you've got all your experience, qualifications, work experience, life experiences, a certification, you all put in a ball, and then nicely you've got accredited. So you're being looked after your client. So it's not something that people have to be afraid of, because if you're being certified, that means you're already doing your coaching well, right? If if you join the CPDs and watch, videos and listen to things, there's no reason why you wouldn't, pass your assessment. And that just gives you like an extra blanket as kind of, comfort, safety, to do the right thing. Like I said, code of conduct, for you and your client. So actually you're protecting both. So if you think about, because people think, oh, it's something huge and, and it's not expensive either. It's actually not expensive at all once you're accredited, to keep your accreditation. So I don't know, just kind of, if anyone is feeling anxious like that, I'm happy to talk to people. I have, reached out to a few people since the coaching week. It's not as scary as people think, and actually gives you a bit of clarity and a bit of, directions as well to go with your business. So yeah, I don't know
It's
what else
also a
to
massive boost to your confidence, isn't it? That you're on the right
yeah,
track. You are a best
yeah,
in class
yeah,
international, because it doesn't
yeah,
matter who you trained with, you're assessed against your
yeah.
peers. When you go for an independent accreditation like ours, then you're being assessed up here against
Mm,
all the training providers, the
mm,
universities around the world. So as long as you say, you've done the preparation, you've listened to the
mm,
preparation that we provide, there's no reason why you wouldn't pass. You're just doing what you've always
mm,
done, uh, delivering the coaching, taking the client from A to B.
yeah,
And that's why members say our capabilities based approach, as opposed to a competencies based approach, where you know the
mm,
theory, but you can't actually put it off necessarily, which is, rapport building, listening deeply. Just because you know the theory doesn't mean that you can actually put
mm,
it into practice. So we changed, I think it was 10 years ago, to a capabilities based model, and it's far superior. It's fast, it's accurate, it's inclusive. And so it should be music to your ears if you're thinking about being accredited. 30 minutes of a little bit of anxiety, being assessed, and then that's pretty much it, particularly at entry level. You sign the professional code of conduct, you submit your
mm,
coaching log, um, your CPD log, your certificates. That's it. There's no written work other than a
yeah.
self-reflection. How did your call go? What would you do differently? And it's incredibly supportive. And, if regulation comes in, all those coaches who are not on the path to accreditation, they're going to get left behind, because sure as eggs
Is
are
this
eggs,
is
you
this
know,
something that it's coming? I was actually going to ask you. That was my next
Well, we've
question.
been talking about it, that, we've been self-regulated. When we set up in 1998, it was because it's an unregulated market. And on the
Mm,
one hand, we could think, well, we've done a very good job of regulating, because there's very few complaints that actually go to the ombudsman that then escalate to
mm,
Brussels. But it does happen occasionally, but nothing like in America, where it's a big sue culture. And there's nearly hardly a week goes by without somebody being in the news. Um, but we're definitely looking towards regulation to protect the end user.
mm,
Yes.
that's good. Yeah, I mean, like I said, it hasn't. I haven't looked back, and it's you can be a great coach, but if you haven't got the right directions as well, you can kind of get your stop kind of taking advice and start kind of going at your lane, as I say, perhaps getting
Exactly.
too comfortable with your coaching style, or yeah.
And until
um
regulation comes in, I think it's little bit like house insurance, Monica.
yeah.
You can insure your house for 30 years, and you could say at the end of it, well, maybe we should have self-insured and banked the money and then had a holiday. but we had a situation where we had paid house insurance for 30 years, and in year 4 we had a house fire.
Oh my
So
God.
you don't know
Yeah.
you need it
Mm,
until you need it.
mm.
So
Yeah.
for a small amount of money, isn't it better to have that protection, that peace of mind for you and your client? I think
Mm.
it's a no-brainer.
Yeah, no, I agree. I agree.
Right, well, I'm
Um,
conscious of the time.
yeah.
We've
Oh
come
my
to the
God.
end of that.
I feel like
I
I've
know.
forgotten you're online.
Conversation always flies by, and it's always a good fun, and you never know what's going to come up. So, how can people contact you? So, assuming somebody's listened and thought, yeah, she's the coach for me, um, and how would you say it would be the best way to contact you, Monica?
So I've got a website. It's called coachwithmonica.com. Or contact me via LinkedIn. I'm quite happy. I'm also on Instagram. It's my name, Monica _coach. So if you type my name into Google search, you will find me one way or
And you're
the other.
presumably on the directory, the IAPCM
Yes, yes,
directory.
yes, I
Yeah,
am. Yeah, yeah.
good.
Actually, yeah, that's another good point. I was meant to say this and then it just came out of my head.
Yeah, the IAPCM directory is pretty important, particularly for new coaches, because they've spent money on training, they've got to get
Mm,
insured, they become
yeah,
accredited. Maybe they don't want to spend a couple of thousand on building a website, in which case your directory profile becomes your shop window. So it can be
yeah.
a really useful benefit to showcase who you are, what you do, and how you do it. So thank you very much, Monica. It's been an
No,
absolute pleasure. Enjoy your summer, and I look forward to meeting you again sometime.
yeah, thank you for having me. Really appreciate